NASCAR on Fox might be one of the worst viewing experiences for any of the major sports, and here's what we saw at COTA. Fox over the years has gotten a lot of heat from NASCAR fans. They have made no bones about how much the broadcast has lacked, especially compared to NBC, and I think that might only be heightened with the introduction of Amazon, and we've already seen some of it with the introduction of the CW for the Xfinity series. Races into the season for the broadcast, I can't help but notice all of the difficulties Fox keeps having. One is that it just feels really disjointed. What I love about a good sports broadcast is the narrative. What are the storylines we need to be following throughout the day? It feels like Fox NASCAR is just picking and choosing different things and then dropping them but not following them. You know, they started out the race talking so much about Connor Zilic, this hype prospect, only for them to kind of drift away from him after he had the incident on lap one, even though he was flying through the field. They eventually picked it up by the time he had picked up like 17 spots, but they should have picked that up and noted that sooner. It feels like they're just trying to be funny, which turns out to be cringy. Like Mike Joy was trying to actually talk about the racing and build up some hype and anticipation to the race. And then Fox was like, hey, here's a picture of Clint Boyer with two donkeys. Like, okay, what's up with that? Why did we really need that? A trend for a while, but they seem to miss the action. In fact, they were showing some great racing at the front. They caught Daniel Suarez spinning in the background of that shot and then cut away for like a bumper cam and then like jumped back to the wreck after it was finished. And then the wreck happened and they're like, hey, we're going to go to commercial. They didn't immediately jump on, hey, here's what happened, here's the analysis, here's who was all involved in the wreck. No, they just kind of went to commercial right away, and you just lost some of that momentum. They did do a big analysis after the commercial, but because they went right to commercial, then they had all this filler time of like, oh, well, there's a lot of track cleanup, so we're just going to go to another commercial. They should have captured on the emotions in that moment when Connor Zilic and Daniel Suarez collided. The biggest blunders was the fact that we had this incredible battle for the lead between Kyle Busch and Christopher Bell that was building up. They finally get side by side, they're door banging. And what do we see? We see the grandstands. We see this zoomed out shot that's not covering any of the racing. It's from behind the grandstands. Like, how do you mess this up? Like, we've been building up to this moment, and they show the grandstands. I mean, come on. There was a lot of confusion on the pylon and the ticker for Fox showing who was in what position. There were a number of times where Mike Joy or the other broadcasters were saying, oh, so-and-so's in this position, and they were not. Like Bubba Wallace was in 15th, but they were showing 17th. Justin Haley once was like 11th, but they were showing like 16th. And then it just kept jumping up and down, up and down, up and down for different drivers. It was just kind of hard to watch. Like, that should have been figured out by now. Now, look, I don't expect any broadcast to be perfect. It's hard to capture these cars, especially on road courses that can be really spread out. And I know that IndyCar had some issues today with its broadcasts, but there was a lot of excitement, enthusiasm, and energy, but it just doesn't feel that way for the Fox broadcast. I'm curious if you feel the same way, if you notice the same things from the COTA broadcast.